record ahead of time and schedule out, being able to rerun old content when I need a break. Discovery happens at any point. People are going to come in at all sorts of points in your podcasting journey. Those things do wonders. They're great.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Headliner Podcast. We're your hosts, Nicholas and Alyssa, and we're here to keep you in the loop on everything happening within podcasting and share what you can do to promote your show. So Alyssa, what are we talking about today?
Yes, today we're actually going to be talking about how to prep for a pod break, which this is not pod fade. That was a episode that we did, not last week. The last episode we did, that's what it's called. And we've kind of spoke on this in a similar vein, but it was more like, hey, this is how you prep for like the summer slump, which if you're interested in learning more about like summer related podcasting activities and that type of listenership and podcasting breaks specifically during summer, you can check out the full episode, Navigating the Summer Slump, Strategies for Podcasters Looking to Take a Break. All that to say, kind of similar to what we're talking about today, but a little different.
Yeah, that one's summer themed. This is our little evergreen hiatus video. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to hear about this. And first, I think we should just say, the really obvious thing, address the elephant in the room. It's okay to take a break. Take a little pod siesta. Why don't you? Nothing wrong with that. It happens to everybody. There are a multitude of reasons you can do it. It could range from wanting to shake up your creative strategy. Maybe you want to do a soft relaunch of the show. You're tweaking the format, you're changing the artwork, all of those little things. That stuff takes time, and it's totally okay if you need to take a month, 2, or dare I say 3 to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, and just for some extra context, why is Headliner talking about this again? Well, we're taking a break. We've got a lot going on. People are moving around. It's summertime for us, so it does get a little bit busy. But this is kind of some of the things that we're going to be doing over our pod break. And then we've also talked to the amazing geniuses over at Reddit and asked questions about like, hey, what have you done if you've ever taken a break, or do you have tips, that kind of stuff. So a lot of this is going to be going through like A, what we're going to be doing, and then B, straight from the source. We talked to podcasters and got some really awesome answers. So we're going to just really be sharing all of those tips today.
Yeah, okay. So with that out of the way, let's dive in, shall we? The first thing you can do when it comes to taking a break from podcasting is, and this is a hot take because I guess it technically isn't a break. You could just pre-schedule some stuff, record ahead of time if your format allows it. Maybe not helpful if you're a news show. Don't take random stabs in the dark over what'll happen. But, you can always just batch create your content and then schedule it out. And you can do the same with your social posts and what have you.
Exactly. And we got, again, from the amazing people over at Reddit. So Dave Jackson, the head of podcasting at Podpage, he actually responded back to our little like, hey, what should we do things? And he said, just like you said, record ahead of time and schedule out. Direct quote, you're giving your audience an opportunity to fill the spot in their routine. So if you don't have something about your show coming out like during your break, there is kind of that opportunity for you to maybe fade out a little bit, not be as top of mind. But there's so many things you can do outside of just mass creating podcast, which, sometimes you're able to really think about a break and be intentional about the timing. Like some people kind of schedule out seasons, so they'll only podcast for 6 months. They'll have 6 months off. So you can really kind of plan ahead and do that kind of stuff. If you don't have the bandwidth, though, that's all that to say, just like you said, like don't freak out. You don't need to go and try and rush 10 episodes, quality over quantity here. But you can, exactly like social media, just anything to kind of let people know like, hey, your podcast is still around. It's just like not actively producing new stuff at the moment.
Yeah. And I know one of the things we'll talk about in a sec, so I'm just going to jump and bring it up, is you can always go with old episodes, even if your show allows for that format. You could do the kind of time-tested television idea, right? Which is, hey, back in the day, networks would produce 22 to 26 episodes of television. That would happen over half of a year. And then the other half of the year was the time where you might just get reruns of old episodes. You would just go through the season again as people take a break or they plan the next season. You can do the same exact thing with podcasting, especially if you're like an information-based podcast that is a little more evergreen, or you're a narrative podcast where people will need that reminder when you come back anyway. So you may as well just give them the reminder in your absence.
Yeah. And we got another great little tip from somebody over at What the Hell Pod. They commented back. They said one of the perks of having a 600 episode.
Wow.
That's crazy. Good for you. Love that.
You could run a rerun every day for almost 2 years, by the way, with that kind of backlog.
Yeah. Like, props to you. That's amazing. But they said is being able to rerun old content when I need a break. Understandably so. I cut some quick intros saying it is a rerun and publish them as new episodes. So you can even do like a minute little, hey, da-da-da-da-da, kind of riff, tack it on to an old episode or recut. I know some people, your podcasting style changes over time. You can kind of listen to your back catalog and be like, oh, I did not love episode number 3. Guess what? You can cut it differently and kind of see what you like, what you don't like, and make it new, but not remake the wheel or rebuild the wheel. I don't know.
Respin the wheel? I don't know. Yeah, it's one of them.
I'm tired. Reinvent. It's
yes.
Reinvent.
Okay. See, this is the opportunity for me to say, do you want to do a clean read of that so that in a year or two, when we rerun this episode, I can make that edit? No? Okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's cool. That's on you. But no, you're very much right. Like, if you do want to do that, if you want to get your reps in and continue to edit something during your hiatus, you can go back and do like little tune-ups on episodes. I actually did this in the past. I had a podcast episode that was like way too long for its own good. It was maybe like 2 hours long. And I came back to it like 5 years later, just curiosity's sake. I cut it down to 1 hour, and it's like one of my favorite edits I've ever done now, because how do you go from 2 hours to 1 hour and still make it feel lucid? Especially when it's me. I barely sound lucid on a daily basis.
I was going to say, we struggle with basic slogans here. We need an obvious break, but that's okay. We're trying.
Yeah. But no, I mean, very much you can do that. And I think it is, if you plan to come back anyway, I know, you take the break because you want to like be away from podcasting. I think keeping your foot in the door by recutting at least 1 or 2 episodes is great. It shows you're still invested in the programming, and it gives people the opportunity to familiarize themselves with your old stuff without necessarily having to deal with the growing pains or skip out on like the things you've already improved at.
And like you said, discovery happens at any point for podcasters, especially if you are doing something kind of outside of your RSS feed to promote and grow your show. So people are going to come in at all sorts of points in your podcasting journey. So something old isn't necessarily old to them. It could be new. So it never hurts. You can always, kind of rebatch, repurpose. It's, something we love to do and something we're always singing the praises of here at Headliner.
Right. That's our whole thing.
Food for thought. Exactly.
Yeah. And to build off of that, the host of the What the Hell Pod had mentioned that he cuts quick intros saying, hey, it's a rerun and all that stuff. Something else you can do if you're doing that is you can actually tell people, I'm going to be back on this day with a new season about X. And you can start a little vague if you don't know what that stuff is when you start doing the reruns or the re-edits. But as your show starts to come back and you start to ramp stuff up, you can actually communicate that with people and tell them this is what you're going to get on this day. It's that old TV model of like the season premiere of this show on this date. And you're going to get excited for it.
It's like me with House of Dragon right now. I'm just waiting and watching.
Yeah, right. You can't watch anything on HBO Max without a House of Dragon ad right now for that reason.
I know. So. Next week, I'm pumped.
Well, there you go. I'm just nodding politely because I haven't even seen Game of Thrones. I know.
We're going to have to take that one off of the podcast.
We'll take that off, Mike.
Because that's a crime, but that's fine. Anyways, something that you had just mentioned, please, if you're taking a break, tell your audience. If you can tell people when you're back, awesome. Do that. If you're not sure, that's fine, but let people know that you're taking a break and that you do plan on coming back and you're not hitting pod fade.
Communication. It's fun. That's the slogan for communication today.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street. Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of think about like that meme of the guy in the party where he's like in the corner and he's like, they don't even know I'm on hiatus. And then like everyone around him is partying and they're like, yeah, we don't know because you didn't tell us. Don't be that guy. This also marks the second podcast in a row where I made some allusion to a party and somebody just leaving unexpectedly. But
I was going to bring up the bag of ice, but I was like, no, I don't have a clean way to do it in my brain, so I'm going to ignore it. But I'm glad that you mentioned it.
Well, there you go.
We're also running out of analogies here, so.
Yeah, we need a break to refresh all the analogies.
And then something kind of secondary to telling your audience, again, this comes from Dave Jackson, direct links to listening for old episodes. So if you're like, I love episode 23, and it's good, it's relevant, put it out there. But a direct link to listen to the actual episode, not just like, hey, follow the podcast. I mean, hey, follow the podcast is great, but
sure.
If you especially want to have that continued listenership throughout breaks, quick little tweets or whatever they're called, little thread posts saying like, hey, while I'm on a break, here's a great episode that talks about blah, 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 blah. Here's the here's the link to listen. Those things do wonders. They're great.
Yeah, I mean, it's your classic marketing 101 thing. Yeah, you could say follow this or check this out. That's good for awareness. But if you want to go beyond awareness and get the actual conversions, you need specificity, and you need to do it with as little friction to the potential listener as possible. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's great advice overall. And just keeping an eye on the space during your hiatus. If something happens in your specific niche that is related to your podcast or could be related to your podcast, go ahead. That's going to be a rerun next week, right? Like, you want to make sure that your stuff, just because it's a rerun doesn't mean it can't be relevant.
Like, I'm convinced that Taylor Swift is getting married in the month of June. In June, we're in the middle of June. I'm convinced it's happening. Do we have an episode about how hosts spark engagement that's semi-centered around when Taylor Swift went on the New Heights podcast? Yes. Am I cutting that and going to try and rerun that? Yes. I'm ready. I'm convinced. Yeah. I'm also getting married this month, so my brain's also like, hey, marriage.
Well, there you go.
But that's separate.
That's a better excuse to run a Taylor Swift rerun than mine, which is, oh yeah, Taylor Swift did a song for Toy Story 5. That's close enough.
Yeah, it's all relevant.
it all adds together somewhere. There's a little murder board somewhere with the picture of Woody from Toy Story, Taylor Swift, and then a podcast mic.
Exactly.
With yarn connecting them. But
exactly. Yeah. Invisible strings, man.
But yeah, I mean, on the subject of the reruns and all of that, you can also always do best of episodes or clips even, right? You could just run clips on social media. Hey, here's a clip from episode 27 about Taylor Swift and whatever, the New Heights podcast. Hey, if that's relevant and you put that on social media, you are tailoring your content to the algorithm. You didn't even have to post it as a rerun on your pod feed necessarily, although it certainly would help. But it's all those little awareness tactics and stuff like that.
And one of the other things that one of the amazing geniuses over at Reddit said is, if your show lends itself to best of style clip show or re-release of episodes, like from the vault type content, do that. So you can even string, especially if you have tools like Headliner, you probably have just all of these clips just sitting. You can just string them together in a coherent way. Don't just, you could do it random, I guess. I don't know. It's your show. You do whatever. But you can create an entire episode out of all of these amazing little social clips that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's something really powerful about that. It didn't even like cross my mind. But yeah, you could absolutely use Headliner for something like that. Because if you sign up and you use automation with us, you're getting like 10 clips an episode. So all you would have to do is pick a couple of episodes, go through the clips and decide, hey, this is here, this goes here. Let me go, record the bridge. Segues everything together. I think that's a great idea.
It's super interesting. I've never heard of that, never thought of that. Going to try it for sure. Loved it.
Yeah.
But great tip, podcaster from r/podcasting Reddit. Great job.
We've been shouting them out a lot lately, haven't we? They're just so friendly.
Reddit. I'm in Reddit all the time. I know you're chronically online. I know you like Reddit. You just don't talk about it as openly as I do.
Yeah, okay. I'm a closet Redditor. If I just told people I use Reddit, I'd get worried they'd cross the street when they see me walking by. On that note, I mean, I think the main gist of what we're getting is communicate this with your listeners. Go with reruns. Re-edit episodes if you need to. Don't be ashamed of the fact that you've put time into your podcast. Go back into that well and dig around in it. Find the things that work. One of the things that I think is really cool is, I've seen this happen a few times, and I think I've tried to do it a few times, is people will record a podcast and maybe it doesn't work for some reason. Maybe there are technical difficulties, or maybe they felt like they didn't quite nail the discussion the first time, so they went back and they re-recorded or reshot it. If you have the original recordings, maybe that's something you could put out during your hiatus. Hey, here's an alternate version of this episode. We talk about a few things differently. If you want a refresher, this is brand new content that'll give you exactly that. You know, I think that's a great idea. We see this in music all the time, right? There's a Prince album coming out in like a month or two that's nothing but like unreleased tracks from his vault. And it's the coolest thing because you get to go in there, and if you're already invested in the person, the podcaster, the musician, the whatever, you get to see this other side of them, and you get to see something familiar. But again, it is different, and it might give you just that new spark of hearing something new.
Yeah. So keep going. Sorry, my brain just...
No, you're good. I mean, that was the point I was making.
It was beautiful and it was lovely. I just don't have any follow-up because it was just
it was on the money. Yeah.
It was, exactly. Some things, kind of that Headliner's going to be doing. I'd mentioned that we're going on a break. We're going to be trying new things. So I'm going to try and edit some things. Ooh, crazy. Fun. So some styles might change. We're going to try a couple of things. We're going to do some lovely tests like marketing people love to do just to see what happens. So we're going to try a couple of things. Hopefully, we're planning on the podcast being back mid-August of 2026. So kind of a 2.5 months, I think, break.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what we're shooting for. We're probably going to come back with some more stuff on paid podcast promotion. So right now, we're very much like all general things you can do to kind of help market and grow your show. Obviously, we lean a little bit more into kind of the video space. We've talked about it a lot. We're still going to talk about it a lot because it's great and it's wonderful and it's relevant. But we are definitely going to try and come up with some more specific content around like paid tactics and that kind of stuff, which is kind of the other side of the Headliner business that we do. So yeah, that's about us. We're going to be active on social. You're going to still see our lovely faces on some clips, whatnot. We also have just a ton of stuff happening this summer. So we have a really cool announcement coming in a couple of weeks that I'm so excited and can't wait to share with everybody.
It's so awesome. Genuinely very cool stuff.
It's pretty cool. So just stay tuned. Follow Headliner on social media at YouTube at Headliner app, headliner.app. There's a couple of different variations depending on social media platform, best practices, and what they allowed me to put.
Well, here's the super quick best practice that we just shared. Put the handles in the show notes. Nice and easy, right? Or I guess you could also just visit our website, headliner.app, and then there will be the hero or the social plug buttons on a corner somewhere.
Also can do that. We've put those links everywhere and changed them too, because everybody loved when I said we should try and make it all consistent.
Yep.
And it was fun. And then we get to find every single link.
With that in mind, I mean, I think that brings us to the end of the episode. The overall point, pod breaks happen. Nothing personal. It's cool. It's an opportunity to come back with a new strategy. If you're a sports person, every team has a rebuild year. And as a Mets fan, I'm taking that one to heart because it feels like one. But,
not the Knicks, though. I don't know if you care about that.
I do. They have my name, Alyssa. Come on now.
Duh.
I can't not be a Knicks fan. I live within the vicinity of New York City and share a name. Okay, with that out of the way, thank you to everyone for listening. Yeah, check out our socials. Take that little pod vacation if you want to. Lay on a pod beach, get a pod tan, read a good pod book, all that stuff. And we'll catch you in the next episode when we're back